So we have our first paper coming up, which means that you're going to need to get data. And since we're in a pandemic, one of the easiest ways to get data is to create a forum. Now, there's obviously all sorts of biases that can occur when we collect data in this kind of way, where because we're collecting numerical data, well, that's measurements. So we can't be the only person measuring. We have to rely on our respondents to measure correctly. So there is going to be some inherent bias if you do it this way, but that's okay. So what where I am is I am logged into my Google account, and I'm just going to go to my Google Apps. Now I have my forums right here because I use them often. If you want, you can go down until you find them. And then once you find it, you just bring it up like that. So all I did was click and grab if you've never done that before. Forums look like this. If you don't have this tab, you can also just type in Google Forums. And there it is. Here's your first one. Continue to forums is where you want to click. So you'll see I have a whole bunch of different ones. You can go from their template gallery, or you can start blank. So we can expand the template gallery. Really what the gallery shows you is just kind of like background stuff. So you can pick pretty much anything you want. It doesn't really matter because you're going to edit it anyway. So customer feedback is just as good as any. And then you're going to want to name this, so you can name it whatever you want. I don't know, LSRL data. So what are you going to do? And maybe, I don't know, maybe you decided that you were going to do how much people's average phone time. So you're going to ask people to look at their screen on their phone and see how much phone time. So phone time, and maybe you have a couple different questions that you're asking them, because maybe you don't want to just rely on two variables. Maybe you're curious about phone time and sleep. Maybe you're curious about other things. So maybe you're just going to say phone time. And then go ahead, you can say, please answer all the questions to the best of your ability. Okay, and then, well, I don't want a multiple choice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go down here, and I'm going to get rid of that. And again, I don't want a long answer, so I'm going to get rid of that. I'm just going to delete all these because I think I'd rather just start with my own, and we can go ahead and add a question. And now you're going to choose what kind of question. So the question I want is, I want to know how much phone time, what people's average phone time is. So what I'm going to go ahead and say, well, that seems like a short answer because they'll give me a time. So we'll type in short answer. And we'll type in, what was your weekly average phone usage last week in hours. And if you want to add, so right now it's short answer. You want to hit required to make sure that they actually do it. And the other thing that you can do is you can hit a little description. So you can say, please enter, I can't spell today, answers in hours. And if you want to do it in minutes, hours and minutes, you could do something like that, and then you can convert it yourself. Or you could say, leave it in hours, please include partial hours. But now if you do that, you have to realize that if you're having them do partial hours, your phone gives it out in hours and minutes. So if you do it in partial hours, you are trusting them to calculate that properly. So instead, I would say in hours and minutes, and then I myself would go and I would have to do some footwork to translate that over to just hours because it needs to all be one unit. Now that is work for me and that's annoying, but at the very least, I know it's been done correctly. Let's see, what's the other thing I'm curious about? So maybe the other thing I want to know is how much they worked. What was your workload last week? Just work. Or hold on. In the description, I'll say don't include. So again, I'm going to make that required. And in the description, I'll say answer in hours. Do not include schoolwork. And you should go through and make sure that you're not like me and putting in random things. And then maybe I'll do another one for schoolwork. So I want to just duplicate this, so I can go ahead and hit duplicate. So instead of workload, what was your school load? And now maybe I'm not going to include students. So if I'm only looking at students, this makes sense. If I'm looking at everybody, I probably wouldn't include this. Just say, hey, don't include school. So I want to be really careful about what I'm choosing. Now, we are picking numbers, so all of your form stuff should be short answers. You should not be using the checkbox or the multiple choice or the drop down. It's really going to be short paragraph because the data that we're collecting for this paper is numerical. So all of the answers that we should be getting are number answers. Okay, and once you're happy with it, what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and hit send, and you can send via emails, or you can embed it, you can share it, or you can hyperlink it. And so you can copy that hyperlink. You can even shorten the URL if you want. And then when you send it to people, oops, this is what they'll get. They'll get your thing. So what was your average? I don't know. Let's say that it was 12.5 hours. Oh, but look at me, 12 hours, 30 minutes. Maybe it was 27 minutes and I rounded, see? So this is why I maybe want to do this. So that way, as the person who's doing this, I'm getting a more accurate depiction of what people are doing instead of 12 and a half. What was my workload last week? I worked 42 hours. And now it's going to be so annoying when they type in hours. So you might say, please don't include the units, just put your answer as a numerical answer. What was my school load last week? Well, I didn't go to school. I just taught school, so 0, and I'll hit submit. Oh, apparently I can edit my response. So I don't know how often they can do that. So what we can do is now I have data in here. So I have one response. So you can click on this to see summary responses, and I won't know who responded. I can see the questions I asked and the responses to those questions at a time. Oops. Or I can look at individual persons. So let's go ahead and let's do it a second time. I don't know if it'll let me do it a second time. Oh, this person's on their phone a lot. They didn't work at all, and that's because they were at school. All right. All right. So let's go back. I'm going to hit refresh, and we can see I've had 2 responses now. And then here's the thing. Here's what's the really big thing. You can keep it accepting responses. Once you're done, make sure that you click that. Once you're like, I'm at my limit, I have as many responses as I need, make sure you click this. Otherwise, you're going to keep getting responses coming in and it's going to mess up your spreadsheet and you're going to be sad. So once you're happy and you have enough responses, click on this. Then this is your new magic button, the create the spreadsheet. Let me go ahead and get my spotlight on this button right here. So I have to come back to my own flow. I've closed this out. Let's go ahead and close it out. So I close it out. I have to go back to my forum. And then I have to click on that forum that we just made. And I want to go to responses. And then this is the magic button. Because what this button does is it's going to create a new spreadsheet. And we'll go ahead and do it that. If you have one that you already want to add it to, you can, but that seems weird. I probably wouldn't do that. I go ahead and create one. And what's cool is it opens it up for you. Now I have 2 responses on here. If I was still garnering responses, let's go ahead and re-accept our responses. You might think that once I create this, I don't get any more responses, but that's not the case. Let's check this out. Go ahead and do it again. I don't know why my answers are all over the place, but that's fine. I want you to see what kind of weird things you can go. If I go in here, you can see there's my 3rd response. Now here's the thing that is annoying sometimes. This person has 12 hours, 27 minutes, right? I can't believe they were not on their phone at all. I have to go in and I have to change this now. So whenever they type in anything other than a number, you're going to have to clean that sort of data up. So this is having to clean this data up. Now, what's nice about this is I can go and I can, if I want to mess with it, I always make sure add a tab. So down here in the plus sign, add a sheet. And now what I can do is I can copy this stuff. So maybe I just want to look at, maybe I decided that the phone thing actually wasn't interesting and that this ended up being way more interesting. And so I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste this over here. You can make that bigger so that you can see your things. If you don't like it bleeding over like that, you can also click on text wrapping and make your text wrap so that it just makes this part taller so that all your text fits in where you have it. And then that way you don't have to mess with things. And there we go. So this is just how to collect our data. This is probably one of the most useful things for us. Again, once I have all the responses I want to make sure and click this off. I can make the spreadsheet. Before I get any responses, I can click the spreadsheet to make the spreadsheet. This will be saved in your Google spreadsheet. So let's say I make it and then, oops, it's gone. Just go ahead, go back in just like you went into forums, get into your Google spreadsheets. Again, if it's not at the top, you can bring it up to the top, click on that, and then you'll go through, there's my first one right there. And there it is right here. And I have access to it again. You can see everything that I've edited is right there. It's one of the things that's one of the love-hate relationships about spreadsheets is that it auto saves. So if you do something really bad and you don't fix it before you click it, that can be really sad. But one of the nice things is let's say you mess up this spreadsheet, you can go ahead and do it again. And you can delete this and it'll make you, it's because I didn't delete it. That's actually another way to get to it instead of going into your spreadsheets. If you delete this, it'll let you recreate a spreadsheet again. So kind of different ways that you can get into here to get some data. Now, yeah, and that's all I have to say about that.